Live. Guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live.
Good morning, everyone, and how is everyone doing today? I switched the game up on you all, so I don't know if I really passed out a memo that said I would be reading the book on Sundays, but it does feel better for Sundays to me, especially since I'm no longer working at the hotel. Usually I do a psychic reading on Sundays. And since working at the hotel, I stopped doing anything on Sundays. I'm not even sure. Sometimes, yeah, no, I just stopped doing anything on Sundays. So it was kind of messing with my equilibrium. But also, I found that on Saturdays, the timing to do the book club has been off for me. And because of the timing, I can never get over to agriculture, which is a place to buy organic stuff. And I haven't been there in a month of, 3,000 Sundays. So I figured since I was reinvigorating myself, that maybe I needed to make some necessary changes. And so now I will be reading Conversations with God on Sundays. Sundays supposed to be at 9 o'clock, but I'm so sorry. I am so late today. I'm so sorry that I'm so late. But hey, let's go on the forgiveness train and let's get a little metaphysical. So I'm going to go back a little bit because last week's was very, very interesting about love. What would love do now? WWLDN. What would love do now? Let me say hi to anyone that is shown. Hi, Stephen. How are you? Also, if you want a reading with me, just contact me at 213-458-7408. I am available today. So those of you that are having any concerns or arguments and feelings about, family members and friends and lovers and husbands and wives, reach out to me. I'm available to you today. It's a very easy breezy Sunday, so sometimes it's better to do readings on Sundays. And besides that, whenever I worked at the store, I always did readings at the psychic stores. I always did readings on Sundays. I always came in on Sundays. It's just a good day. At the Green Man store, I used to work 12 to 5. So it was just a good day had by all to come work on Sundays. All right. Let's go to page 129 because I'm going to revisit last week's dialogue, the ending of it. And we're starting at the paragraph where it says, in this, the master. Let me see. I'm going to go back. You can create. You can create. So listen up, buttercups. Page 129. You can create. You can create who you are over and over again. Indeed, you do this every day. As things now stand, you do not always come up with the same answer. However, given an identical outer experience one day, You may choose to be patient and loving and kind in relationship to the situation. On day two, given the identical outer experience, you may choose to be angry, ugly, and sad. The master is one who always comes up with the same answer, and that answer is always the highest choice, which has nothing to do with your response to a situation, right? So you could be angry, ugly, and sad and still choose the highest choice, right? I do that all the time, all the time. I'm like, I might be talking to someone, especially in the street, right? And I'll be like, they'll say something, and I'll be like, well, you should consider this. You should try this. And I might walk away and go, dummy, like it's not that hard, right? It's ugly. But I still gave an answer for the highest good, is what I'm saying. And then other times I'll be like, I'm so glad I was here to help someone. I mean, it's okay to be both. I'm never worried about the ugly in me. Besides that, the ugly in me doesn't last, but I'm never worried about it. And I've actually do my readings based upon the ugly in me, right? I never wanted you all to experience me as some angelic speaking, person, and then you hear me cuss somebody out one day and you're like, oh, like you always act a certain type of way. No, I'm gonna show you guys both ways. And I'm still gonna be perfectly correct. I'm still gonna choose my highest authority. But yeah, I will slap a bitch tomorrow, and today I might let you get away with some shit. It's just not worth the time and energy today. Tomorrow, I will find the energy. Oh, yes, I will. And I'm never worried about how you all think of me. And when I say you all, I am not talking about my metaphysical people. Mm-mm. No, I'm talking about the people at the back of the bus, the slave people. That's what I'm talking about. The ones that don't know that there's a purple brick road somewhere for them to enter into. That's what I'm talking about. You know? All right, enough about me. I stay focused on me a lot, child. In this, the master is one who always comes with the highest, with the same answer, and that answer is always the highest choice. In this, the master is eminently predictable. Conversely, the student is completely unpredictable, which is okay to be unpredictable if you are learning. Give yourself permission to be unpredictable, to be a student. One can tell how one is doing on the road to mastery by simply noticing how predictable one makes the highest choice in responding or reacting to any situation. Of course, this throws open the question, what choice is the highest? That is a question around which has revolved the philosophies and theologies of man since the beginning of time. If the question truly engages you, you are already on your way to mastery. For it is still true that most people continue to be engaged by another question altogether. Not what is the highest choice, but what is the most profitable, or how can I lose the least? When life is lived from a standpoint of a damage control or optimum advantage, the true benefit of life is forfeited. The opportunity is lost. The chance is missed. For a life lived thusly is a life lived from fear, and that life speaks a lie about you. Hold on. Oh man, I meant to wash these. Shoot, silly me. Let me see. All right, let me just take this for now. I'm sweating in my own house, guys. When life is lived from a standpoint of damage control or optimum advantage, the true benefit of life is forfeited. The opportunity is lost. The chance is missed. For a life lived thusly is a life lived from fear, and that life speaks a lie about you. For you are not fear, you are love. Love that needs no protection. Love that cannot be lost. Yet you will never know this in your experience if you continually answer the second question and not the first. For only a person who thinks there is something to gain or to lose asks the second question. And only a person who sees life in a different way, who sees self as a higher being, who understands that winning or losing is not the test, but only loving or failing to love. Only that person asks the first. He who asks the second question says, I am my body. She who asks the first says, I am my soul. Yet let all those who have ears to hear listen. For I tell you this, at the critical juncture in all human relationships, there is only one question. What would love do now? No other question is relevant. No other question is meaningful. No other question has any importance to your soul. Now we come upon a very delicate point of interpretation, for this principle of love sponsored action has been widely misunderstood. And it is this misunderstanding which has led to resentments and angers of life, which in turn have caused so many to stray from the path. For centuries, you have been taught that love sponsored action arises out of the choice to be, do, and have whatever produces the highest good for another. Yet I tell you this, the highest choice is that which produces the highest good for you. As with all profound spiritual truths, this statement opens itself to immediate interpretation. The mystery clears a bit, and one decides what is the highest good and one could do for oneself. As with all profound spiritual truth, this statement opens itself to immediate interpretation. The mystery clears a bit the moment one decides what is the highest good one could do for oneself. And when the absolute highest choice is made, the mystery dissolves. The circle completes itself, and the highest good for you becomes the highest good for another. It may take lifetimes to understand it. Oh, Jesus. Lifetimes? What does that mean? Every time we visit, this is what we're learning? And every time we visit, we could fail to learn this? It may take lifetimes to understand this, and even more lifetimes to implement it. Well, how many lifetimes are going to go through? For this truth revolves around an even greater one. What you do for yourself, you do for another. What you do for another, you do for the self. This is because you and the other are one. And this is because this is not but you. All the masters who have walked your planet have taught this. Verily, verily, I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these, my brethren, you have done it unto me. Yet this has remained the most people merely a grand esoteric truth with little practical application. In fact, it is the most practical, applicable, esoteric truth of all time. Okay, so we've heard that in the Bible, right? Let me see. We've heard this. Verily, verily, I say unto you, inasmuch as you have done it unto one of the least of these, my brethren, you have done it to me. God is saying, if you hurt someone, you hurt me, right? But God is also saying, if you hurt someone, you also hurt yourself. So I'm thinking that's the lifetime lesson to understand that hurting someone hurts you, giving to someone is giving back to you, right? And we understand it better when it's karma, right? Like I always talk about deposits of karma. Oh, I deposited karma. I expect good things. I deposited a lot of karma, right? And sometimes I deposit a lot of karma on purpose. I don't know what bad I did out there. Most of us don't recognize how bad. Can't see it, don't want to see it, hate to acknowledge it. So it's okay if you can't see that you were ugly today. That's okay. But I guarantee you were ugly today, yesterday. You're going to plan to be ugly tomorrow. And it doesn't mean that you're going to be ugly all day. There might be an instant or a moment in time when you could have been giving and you chose not to. Well, we talked about this last week. Remember, I was telling you about cooking and I never asked my neighbor. And so you guys are going to be really proud of me. I offered my neighbor some fruit. You guys are going to be so proud of me. And it felt good. I don't think that I did it, you know, with the right intentions, right? Because I think I'm learning to be better. But it was a step in the right motion, right? Remember, we talked about this last week. And so I made a step, right? So hopefully, when I make mac and cheese for the holidays, I will understand that I will knock on my neighbor's door and offer my neighbor some mac and cheese. And if he doesn't take it, that's okay. It's the fact that I never offer, right? And so when you produce ugly, and remember, no one's judging you. It's okay to be ugly, but if you could remember to deposit kindness, we can eradicate an ugly that you didn't even notice that you created the day before. Hopefully. Yet this is going back to the book. Yet this has remained for most people merely a grand esoteric truth with little practical application. In fact, it is the most practical, applicable, esoteric truth of all time. It is important in relationships to remember this truth, for without it, relationships will be very difficult. And I think what God is saying is the give and take in relationships, right? Oh, let me see who else is here. Hi, Lottie. How are you? Yes. Um, let's go back to the practical applications of this wisdom and step away from the purely spiritual, esoteric aspect of it for now. So often, under the old understandings, people, well meaning and well intentioned, and many very religious, did what they thought would be best for the other person in their relationships. Sadly, all this produced, in most cases, was continued abuse by the other, continued mistreatment, continued dysfunction in a relationship. Ultimately, the person trying to do, quote unquote, do what is right by the other, to be quick to forgive, to show compassion, to continually look past certain problems and behaviors, becomes resentful, angry, and mistrusting even of God. For how can a just God demand such unending suffering and joylessness and sacrifice in the name of love? The answer is God does not. God asks only that you include yourself among those you love. God goes further. God suggests, recommends that you put yourself first. Interesting. Put yourself first to eradicate the suffering that you're in right now. Imagine if you're in a relationship where you are being abused, disrespected, dishonored. What would happen if you began to think that I am better than this? I do not deserve this. I am going to figure out a way to leave. I'm going to plan and actualize that I am first. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, right? I'm saying if we process that I'm putting myself first, how much more things can be different. God goes further. God suggests, recommends that you remember, suggest, recommends, suggests, He's not telling you what to do, that you put yourself first. I do this knowing full well that some of you will call this blasphemy, and therefore not my word, and that others of you will do what might be even worse, accept it as my word and misinterpret or distort it to suit your own purposes, to justify ungodly acts. I tell you this, putting yourself first in the highest sense never leads to an ungodly act. If therefore you have caught yourself in an ungodly act as a result of doing what is best for you, the confusion is not in having put yourself first, but rather in misunderstanding what is best for you. Of course, determining what is best for you will require you to determine what it is you are trying to do. This is an important step that many people ignore. What are you up to? What is your purpose in life? Without answers to these questions, the matter of what is best in any circumstances will remain a mystery. As a practical matter, again, leaving esoterics aside, if you look to what is best for you in these situations where you are being abused, at the very least, what will you do is stop the abuse. And that will be good for both you and your abuser. For even an abuser is abused when his abuse is allowed to continue. This is not healing to the abuser, but damaging. For if the abuser finds that his abuse is acceptable, what has he learned? Yet, if the abuser finds that his abuse will be no longer accepted, what has he been allowed to discover? Therefore, treating others with love does not necessarily mean allowing others to do as they wish. Parents learn this early with children. Adults are not so quick to learn it with other adults or nations with nations. Yet deposits cannot be allowed to flourish, but must be stopped in their deposition. Love of self and love of despo demands it. This is the answer to your question. If love is all there is, how can man ever justify war? Sometimes man must go to war to make the grandest statement about who man truly is, if he abhors war. There are times when you may have to give up who you are in order to be who you are. There are masters who have taught you cannot have it all until you are willing to give it all up. Thus, in order to have yourself as a man of peace, you may have to give up the idea of yourself as a man who never goes to war. History has called upon men for these decisions. The same is true in most individual and most personal relationships. Life may more than once call upon you to prove who you are by demonstrating an aspect of who you are not. This is not so difficult to understand. If you have lived a few years, though for the idealistically young, it may seem the ultimate contradiction. In more mature retrospect, it seems more divine dichotomy. This does not mean in human relationships that if you are being hurt, you have to hurt back, nor does it mean so in relationships between nations. It simply means that to allow another to continually inflict damage may not be the most loving thing to you, for yourself, or others. This should be put to test some pacifist theories that highest love requires no forceful response to what you consider evil. The discussion here turns esoteric once more, because no serious explanation of this statement can be ignored of the word evil and the value judgments it invites. The truth is, there's nothing evil, only objective phenomenon and experience. Yet your very purpose in life requires you to select from the growing collection of endless phenomena, a scattered few for which you call evil. For unless you do, you cannot call yourself nor anything else good, and thus cannot know or create yourself. By which you call evil, do you define yourself, and by that which you call good? The biggest evil would therefore be to declare nothing evil at all. You exist in this life in the world of the relative, where one thing can exist only insofar as it relates to another. This is at one and the same time both the function and the purpose of a relationship, to provide a field of experience within which you find yourself, to find yourself, and if you choose, constantly recreate who you are. Choosing to be godlike does not mean you choose to be a martyr. Oh, hell no. And it certainly does not mean you choose to be a victim. On your way to mastery, when all possibility of hurt and damage and loss is eliminated, it would be well to recognize hurt, damage, and loss as part of your experience and decide who you are in relationship to it. Yes, the things that others think, say, or do will sometimes hurt you until they do not anymore. What will you get from here to there most quickly is total honesty. Being willing to assert, acknowledge, and declare exactly how you feel about a thing. Say your truth kindly, but firmly and completely. Live your truth gently, but totally and consistently. Change your truth easily and quickly when your experiences brings you new clarity. I like that. I'm going to repeat that because that's really important. On your way to mastery, right? On your way down the yellow brick road, when all possibility of hurt, damage, and loss is eliminated, it would be well to recognize hurt, damage, and loss as a part of your experience and decide who you are in relationship to it. Yes, the things that others think, say, or do will sometimes hurt you until they don't anymore. What will you get from here to there most quickly is total honesty, being willing to assert, acknowledge, and declare exactly how you feel about a thing. Say your truth kindly, but be fully and completely. Oh, say your truth kindly, but fully and completely. Live your truth gently, but totally and consistently. Change your truth easily and quickly when your experience brings you new clarity. No one in right mind, least of all God, would tell you when you are hurt in a relationship to stand aside from it, cause it to mean nothing. Cause it to mean nothing. If you are now hurting, it is too late to cause it to mean nothing. Your new task now is to decide what it does mean and to demonstrate that. For in so doing, you choose and become who you seek to be. And I think this is Neil talking. Neil goes, so I don't have to be the long suffering wife or the belittled husband or the victim of my relationships in order to render them holy or to make me pleasing in the eyes of God. And God goes, oh, good grief. No. And Neil goes, and I don't have to put up with attacks on my dignity, assault on my pride, damage to my psyche, and wounds to my heart in order to say that I gave it my best in a relationship. I did my duty. I met my obligation in the eyes of God and man. And God goes, not for a minute. Then pray, God, tell me, what promises should I make in a relationship? What agreements must I keep? What obligations do relationships carry? What guidelines should I seek? Hold on, guys. I'm having a lymphatic issue, and I discovered my lymphatic issue is coming from not drinking enough water. And I had stopped drinking enough water because without my car, I could not get my gallons of water. And whenever I caught a ride, I couldn't always say to the person, I need to get gallons of water. So I had limited water in the house, and that has caused me to have a lymphatic issue because I wasn't drinking enough water. So praise God, my car is back, and hopefully I can get my lymphatic system back on track. All right, back to the book. Oh, wait, let me say hi to everyone. Hold on. Hi. Hi, Layla. Good morning, Tracy 15, because you are the truth. Hi, sweetie. Got my car back. Hi, Colton. Good morning. Hi, Rhonda. Hello, Tracy and Steve. Hello, sweetie. All right, back to the book. Then pray, God, tell me, what promises should I make in relationship? What agreements must I keep? What obligations do relationships carry? What guidelines should I see? The answer is the answer you cannot hear, says God. For it leaves you without guidelines and renders null and void every agreement in the moment you make it. The answer is you have no obligation, neither in relationship nor in all of life. No. Isn't that a new concept? Thou shalt love thy no wait. What's the marriage vows? You shall keep him in sickness and in health, forever help you God. Bullshit. How are you going to keep someone in sickness and health or whatever the vows are when people aren't nice? How about when people just aren't nice? How about when you're dating someone that doesn't keep their vow? You're keeping your vow, but they're not keeping their vow, right? Tell me I'm wrong. All right. I'm just saying, just speaking out loud. God says you don't have no obligation to nothing. That was church telling you what you needed to do. That's not God mandating that you act a certain type of way. Most vows, okay, I'm gonna start on my woman rant now. Most vows are against women. Most vows are made so that women act right, not men. Seriously. It's meant for women to feel guilty. It's meant for women to not cheat. Seriously. We listen to the vows, not the men. Nope. And so it is what it is. All right. It turns out you and I both have no obligation to these stupid rules. I swear to God, if I ever get married again, which I don't want to get married again, but if I ever got married again, I would purposely give vows of like vagueness. It would be vague. It would be like, well, I'll consider being kind to you as long as kindness is shown to me. Like that's how I would give my vows. I would not give vows where it is mandated. Do you understand? I do. No, I don't. No, I don't understand. No. Yeah, probably be best for me not to get married again. All right, whatever. The answer is you cannot hear, for it leaves you with the guidelines and renders null and void every agreement in the moment you make it. The answer is you have no obligation, neither in relationship nor in all of your life. You are not obligated to be a kind person. You are not obligated to do right. Do whatever the fuck you want. There's consequences, but do whatever the fuck you want. You want to show up ugly every day? So be it. There's going to be lessons learned behind it. I promise you, there has to be lessons behind it, but you don't have to be kind. I keep wanting to bring up P. Diddy. I keep wanting to say P. Diddy, P. Diddy, like after every sentence. No obligation, nor any restriction or limitation, nor any guidelines or rules, nor are you bound by any circumstances or situations or constraints by any code of law, nor are you punishable for any offense, nor capable of any, for there is no such thing as being offensive in the eyes of God. And Neil goes, I heard this before. This, there are no rules kind of religion. That's spiritual anarchy. I don't see how that can work. There is no way it cannot work if you're about the business of creating self. If, on the other hand, you imagine yourself to be about the task of trying to be what someone else wants you to be, the absence of rules and guidelines might indeed make things difficult. Yet, the things, mm, yet the thinking mind begs to ask if God has a way she wants me to be. Why didn't she simply create me in that way to begin with? With all the struggle for me to overcome, who am I to order for me to become what God wants me to be? This is the probing mind demands. This the probing mind demands to know, and rightfully so, for it is a proper inquiry. The religious would have you believe that I created you as less than who I am, so you could have the chance to become who I am, working against all odds, and I might add, against every natural tendency I am supposed to have given you. Amongst these so-called natural tendency is the tendency to sin. You are taught that you were born in sin, that you will die in sin, and that sin is your nature. One of your religions even teaches you that you can do nothing about this. Your own actions are irrelevant and meaningless. It is arrogant to think that by some action of yours, you can get to heaven. There is only one way to heaven or salvation, and that is through no undertaking of your own, but through the grace granted by you, by God, through acceptance of His Son as your intermediary. Once this is done, you are saved. Oh, I'm starting to worry now. Oh, Neil. All right, help me, Lord. Help me. Help me. This is a religious statement that is identified with particular religions, God. And so I need you to help me with this passage that I'm about to read. I'm going to read it because I feel like that is something I should do. But I still need help in identifying in those religions that acknowledges Jesus had being born, but does not teach that you can only be saved through the acknowledgement of Jesus. I do know, by the way, that, and I don't know this for sure, but it is what it is, that whether you acknowledge Jesus here on earth doesn't matter because you will meet Jesus in the other world and you will acknowledge him there. But either way, the acknowledgement has to be part of your growth. However, I think the part that I'm having a problem here with God in this book is the word saved. That without the acknowledgement of Jesus Christ, none of us are saved. I have a problem with that because I know many Muslim um, ideology that just has a different take on it. Um, and so I need help because I just feel like sometimes in translation that I'm going to give Neil some grace that what Neil might have written down, somebody else might have reworded in editing. So let me get through this passage. One of your religions even teaches you that you can do nothing about this. Your own actions are irrelevant and meaningless. It is arrogant to think that by some of your actions you can get to heaven. There's only one way to heaven, and that is through no undertaking of your own, through the grace granted to you by God, through acceptance of his Son as your intermediary. Once this is done, you are saved. Until it is done, nothing that you can do, nor the life you live, nor the choices you make, not anything you undertake of your own, will in any effort to improve yourself or render you worthy have any effect, bears any influence. You are incapable of rendering yourself worthy because you are inherently unworthy. You were created that way. Oh, so okay. Am I getting it now? You're saying that's what the religious people. Okay, thank you, God. That's what you're saying. The religious people say that through the acceptance of His Son as your intermediary, that's the only way to get into heaven. And once you accept, let's call him Jesus, as your intermediary, then you are saved. And what you're saying is that some religions say that your life cannot be influenced in any way unless you take Jesus Christ as your son and intermediary, and you are saved. Okay, I get it now. I was scared, God. I get it. You're saying some religions say this to you. I appreciate that. Why God only knows. Perhaps He made a mistake because, let me see, once it's done, you're saved. Until it is done, nothing that you do, nor the life you live, nor the choices you make, nor anything you undertake of your own will in any effort to improve yourself or render worthy has any effect, bears any influence. This is what the religious people are saying, unless you go by way of Jesus Christ. You are incapable of rendering yourself worthy because you are inherently unworthy. And they say you were created that way, unworthy. Why? God only knows. Perhaps He made a mistake. Perhaps He didn't get it right. Maybe He wishes He could have it all to do it all over again, but there it is. What to do? And the guy goes, "You're making a mock of me." And God goes, "No, you are making a mock of me. You are saying that I, God, made inherently perfect things and then have demanded of them to be perfect or face damnation. You are saying that. You are saying then that somewhere several thousand years ago in the world's experience, I relented, saying that from then on, you didn't necessarily have to be good. You simply have to feel bad when you were not being good and accept as your savior the one being who could always be perfect, thus satisfying my hunger for protection. You are saying that my son, who you call the perfect one, has saved you from your own imperfections, the imperfections that I gave you. In other words, God's son had saved you from what his father did. Oh shit. This is how many of you, say I've set it up. Now, who is mocking whom? Okay. Thank you, God. I got it. Did you guys get it? I know this passage seems to be a little like deep, but I think I get it. I think God is saying what I expected him to say, because I was like, where's this book going? Because I'm about to have faith in the wording of this book. If the book was going to say you could, I thought the book was going to say, I need to take this off. I'm dying here. I ate something I shouldn't have ate. Now I'm bloated. Ugh. I thought the book was going to say that basically Jesus was the end all. And that if you want salvation of any kind, you would have to recognize that Jesus is the end all. And what God is saying is that religion has set you up. And that in order for you to believe that Jesus is the end all, you forgot about him, God the Father. And that is inherently wrong. All right. I think I'm getting it, guys. That actually made me happy. You guys get it with me? Was that a little bit? I mean, I think all my life I've been waiting for that answer to hear it come back at me, right? Because I was born and raised Catholic, right? When you're born and raised Catholic, they actually don't have you believe in God. I know that sounds crazy, but they don't. They have you believe in Jesus. And then as the church developed, they don't even have you believe in Jesus. They have you believe in Jesus' mother. So, ironically, the Catholic Church has you sinning all the time. All the time. They have reduced your ability to love God unconditionally and trust God unconditionally by putting Jesus ahead of God as the order of their religion. This is true story. And then they took it one step further and have people believing that Mary Mother is better than Jesus after we've accepted the fact that Jesus is better than God. This is the Catholic Church. When I turned 18, it was one of the questions that I had. I didn't know who God the Father was. This is a true story. I didn't know if God was God and if God was Jesus. They had blended it so perfectly together that you forgot that God is God. And then they have you believe in Mother Mary. And I have to tell you, with all my heart, I love Mother Mary. I love her. I love that she was chosen and she was allowed to birth an amazing, amazing spiritual man that we have religion under. But in no way do we idolize Mary more than Jesus. Even Mary said, all the world will know my name. She never said, worship me more than my son, child, because that's what you're supposed to do. No, no. And God is sitting back, allowing some religions to push Jesus. And I don't mean sitting back, God. I'm not saying that. To push Jesus more, but we forget that God is the highest. Okay, so then I leave the Catholic Church and I wind up in a Baptist church. In a Baptist church, they don't give Mary Mother any credit. None. Forgive me, Mary. I'm just repeating what my church said. So forgive the words that are coming out of my mouth. I'm just trying to have people hear me by way of what my church said, but I need forgiveness. I had my pastor tell the congregation that Mary was just an incubator. How is any woman just an incubator? Women in themselves are gods. You try making a baby. You try holding on to a whole being for 9 months. And you try telling me I'm just an incubator. I am not an oven. I make things. I took your sperm and I formed it within me. And I create a whole human being. I am to be honored and loved for the capability of this alien physicality that no one understands. How it happens, why it happens. Every time I see a pregnant woman, I'm like, you go, girl. Because that's a feat that only we can do. Humanity, for generations, for centuries, is made by the goddess. So in no way is Mary Mother just an incubator, you asshole pastor. How dare you tell your congregation that? honor me. Honor me for my capabilities. Love me. Love me perfect, love me flawed. But understand, I create. Now, you idiot scientists might be wanting to create babies outside of the womb. Okay, you'll make some fucked up human beings, that's for sure. Do whatever the fuck you want. That'll come back to haunt you, I promise you. God's design for the human experience is to come through women. I promise you. Now, you want to take that away from me? Be my guest. Do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care, you scientists. But I am made perfectly to regenerate the human experience over and over and over again. So go ahead and be jealous. I got this. I got humanity. Mary Mother is not an incubator. And then when I was younger, I didn't know that I had a voice, and so I wouldn't utilize the voice. Now that I'm older, much older, by the way, I use my voice all the time. People think I'm angry on IG. I'm not angry. I'm getting you all to see. But it's hard for people to see, so whatever. And I state my case, and then they call me a bitter bitch on IG, and I go, okay, I might be a bitter bitch, but you're ignorant as fuck. But okay, let's just stay with the bitter bitch then. Oh, Tracy, you're just bitter. Okay, I think let's go with that. All right, I'm the bitter bitch. I'm a bitter bitch with a fucking womb. I'm a bitter bitch that makes children. I'm a bitter bitch that understands I don't have to be quiet anymore. I will voice my opinion when I see something stupid on IG. Yes, I will. All right, let's go back. Hi, Sharon. Thank you for coming on board. Bree, good morning. Hello, Sharon. I'm glad you explained that, Tracy. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Listen, I also want to tell you guys nothing that I say here makes me right. Hi, Nikita. Good morning. Nothing that I say here makes me right. Only everything is right. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I have a sense of humor. All right. So Neil goes, you are making a mock of me. And God goes, no, you are making a mock of me. You are saying that I, God, made inherently imperfect beings and then have demanded of them to be perfect or face damnation. You are saying that somewhere several thousand years into the world's experience, I relented, saying that from then on you didn't necessarily have to be good. You simply had to feel bad when you were not being good and accept as your savior the one being who could always be perfect, thus satisfying my hunger for perfection. You are saying that my son, who you call the one perfect one, has saved you from your own imperfections, the imperfections I gave you. In other words, God's Son has saved you from what his Father did. This is how many of you say, I've set it up. Now, who is mocking who? Oh, oh. By the way, everyone get over yourself. Jesus had sex, and Jesus had sex with Mary Magdalene, I promise you. And Jesus had babies with Mary Magdalene. But they don't want to tell you that because that would make Jesus imperfect. Jesus was a man that was so spiritual and so gifted. Oh, by the way, Jesus was a magician. Jesus was a psychic. Yes, he was. Oh, just let me bust all that bubble about being perfect. If you do what Jesus do, Jesus was a psychic. I am doing what Jesus is, was, did, do. Shoot. All right. Right, Bree. Right. They call you bitter until they need your help. Right. Isn't that the way it goes? Just saying. Yes, Bree. Oh, Tracy, you're so bitter. You're bitter. You're a bitter Betty, Tracy. And I'm like, okay. I'll give you a good example. Let's just stop reading a book for a minute. So today on IG, oh Lord, Michael B. Jordan, what happened to you? There's no way he could have been drunk. Michael B. Jordan crashed his Ferrari. Oh, what silliness. No, I hope he's okay. That's just silliness. What was he doing in that car? Blue Ferrari, very pretty car. Into a similarly colored parked Kia at around 11:30 p.m. 11:30, the LAPD responded, found no signs of Michael being impaired because it's not his character by drugs or alcohol. Cops did not perform a field. They did not perform a field sobriety test. There were no injuries, thankfully, and no other damage to nearby property. Michael was seen walking from the scene. If he can walk from the scene, he can take a sobriety test. See what they do with stars? Michael, what are you doing in that car, child? Oh, the poor Kia. Killed that Kia. All right. Why am I in this? Oh, I remember now. So, perfect example, right? There's a post today where I'll tell you where the post is. There's a post today. It's called Black Wealthy Wealthified. Black Wealthified. And there's this black woman at the airport with a suitcase and bags, and she's walking away from these snot-nosed white kids and the father, right? And the kids are crying. The kids are like, oh my God, don't leave, right there, belligerently crying. And the woman is kind of got her head down because she knows she has to walk away. Praise God. Hopefully she's quitting, right? Praise God. I hope she's quitting because nannies don't get paid shit, right? And so all the comments from black people were hilarious. The comments were hilarious. This is where the comments. Rosie, her name's Rosie. Rosie, the nanny, is the mother for these children to be this emotionally attached to her. She definitely earned her title, Mommy Rosie. And someone else goes, so beautiful, the human spirit in regards to love. Only love can conquer hate. And these babies showed they don't see color. only know what it's like to be loved. And then somebody go, this is a sentimental tearjerker. This is how we know racism doesn't exist. Get the fuck out of here. So I put, what are you people talking about? They always love the nanny till they get grown, right? And then I put that damn nanny looks like she's leaving for good. And I put clapping hand emojis. There's a lot of comments, particularly from black people, right? These are the slave black people. They've never left slavery. Their mentality, y'all just might as well be on a plantation somewhere in wooden houses, because that's what your mindset is still like. So then I put, this channel is not run by black folks because this is some bullshit. The nanny is running from them snot-nosed kids. The mama is filming, I'm guessing. And you all think this is not racism? The nanny probably breastfed those kids, just like my ancestors did in slavery. Rosie woke up. Rosie said, F them kids. Rosie's out of here. Rosie's going back to Jamaica or Africa. Because she kind of looked either Jamaican or African to me. That's being totally racist. Good for you, Rosie. Some of you are still slaves in the mind. This is nothing more than a guilt tactic to get Rosie to stay. I put stay. Pay Rosie living wages. Rosie gone. Bye, Rosie. Bye. All right. So then everybody had a comment after I informed them. Like, people don't like it. If I have a comment to make, they can handle the comment. It's only when the comment attacks them do people attack back, right? I'm not attacking you per se. I'm saying you are consistently generationally cursed. You are a slave. You believe this shit is supposed to be this way. Those kids are racist because you've got racist parents videotaping this for clout. Those kids are going to grow up racist. And one day they're going to look at the fucking nanny and tell the fucking nanny, you are not my mother. Tell me I'm lying, everyone. Tell me I'm lying. I'm not lying. And the nanny's going to be shocked because she knows she breastfed those damn kids while she left her kids back in the island. Oh, just saying. Just saying. All right. Where am I? Just saying. So when I attack people, I'm not attacking you as your soul. I'm attacking a character flaw that you still live in. And the only way to shake that shit out of you is to give it to you directly, because most people can only see if you send directness to them. If you put it in third person, they don't always get it. They're like, oh, okay, I can kind of see your point. But if you say to them, you're a slave, and that's why you believe this shit is cute, the rest of the words they never hear. They only hear you're a slave. And that hurts their feelings. And it gets them, ironically, to stop looking at life through slave eyes. It's a slow process, but it will happen because I pointed out the fact that they are still slaves. It's actually very funny. All right. Maybe it's just me that finds it funny. Okay. I'll be alone in my funniness or funny. All right. Okay, let's continue on. Neil goes, this is the second time in this book you seem to have launched a frontal attack on fundamentalist Christianity. And Neil goes, I am surprised. So let me stop here because I already know what God's going to say. I didn't read this part. I have not read this book. I'm reading a book with you, but I already know what God is going to say. God loves his son. And the ideology of why he brought his son down here, because of the one thing God did not produce enough prior to Jesus being born. He did not produce enough in anybody's system, love. So Jesus came down for one thing and one thing only, love. I promise you, that's the only reason why Jesus showed up. Love. And that means don't judge, don't hurt, don't connive, don't convict, right? It's all about love, right? And so the fundamentalist Christianity has taken our Jesus and has one made him into a God bigger than God himself, and has one attached all these rules to the point where you're so confined and restricted in the ideology of Christianity. So Neil goes, this is the second time in his book you seem to have launched a frontal attack on fundamentalist Christianity. I am surprised, says Neil. Neil, you kind of crazy. And God goes, you have chosen the word attack. I'm simply engaging the issue. And the issue, by the way, is not fundamentalist Christianity, as you put it. It is the entire nature of God and of God's relationship to man. The question comes up here because we were discussing the matter of obligations in relationships and life itself. You cannot believe in an obligation less relationship because you cannot accept who and what you really are. You call a life of complete freedom spiritual anarchy, and I call it God's great promise. It is only within the contents of this promise that God's great plan can be completed. You have no obligation in relationship. You have only opportunity. Opportunity is not obligation. It is the cornerstone of religion, the basis of all spirituality. So long as you see it the other way around, you will miss the point. Relationship, your relationships to all things was created as your perfect tool in the work of your soul. That is why all human relationships are sacred ground. It is why every personal relationship is holy. In this, many churches have it right. Marriage is a sacrament, but not because of its sacred obligations, rather because of its unequaled opportunity. Neither do anything in relationships, never do anything in relationships out of a sense of obligation. Do whatever you do without a sense of the glorious opportunity your relationship affords you to decide and to be who you really are. Okay, so here's the perfect example, right? You know how you have some mothers that love their children. I love to feed my kids. I love to clothe my kids. I love to do their hair, right? You got those mothers. And then you got the mothers that's like, oh my God, I got to get up and feed these damn kids, right? And then you got those mothers that are like, listen, I'm gonna send you to grandma's house for about a week. You like that? And the kids don't know any better. They're like, fuck yeah. I'm kidding. Kids don't talk like that to your mother. I don't think so. And the kids are like, fuck yeah. Send me to grandma. Why? Is that okay with the kids? Because they recognize that the mother cannot be obligated with them. So the kids are like, man, mom, if you can't do it, I know grandma is going to feed us, let us sit on her lap. Like, grandma going to take care of us, right? So you have those women that are loving mothers from the core of their being, that they don't know how to be anything else. And then you got those mothers that are like, I didn't even want kids. I had kids because he wanted kids. Now here I am with 3 kids. I don't like being a mother. I don't like having to be. These kids get on my nerves. And then you have mothers under the same umbrella. If I don't like these damn kids, I don't want these damn kids, that give no emotion to their children. None. None. They're not even trying to be obligated. They're like, nope, you might be here and I might have been forced to feed you, but you're not gonna get love from me, right? What was the point of that? Something. Oh, the point was never do any wait. The point was relationship. Your relationship to all things was created as your perfect tool in the work of your soul. That is why all human relationships are sacred ground. It is why every personal relationship is holy. In this, many churches do have it right. Marriage is a sacrament, but not because it's sacred obligations, rather because of its unequaled opportunity. Never do anything in a relationship out of a sense of obligation. Do whatever you do out of a sense of the glorious opportunity your relationship affords you to decide and to be who you really are. So, I'm not saying that those mothers that can't be so bothered with their children are correct, because in the book, those mothers that can't choose to be healthy mothers are missing an opportunity of a great relationship with their children. And that's what's sad. I speak to a lot of people, and you guys would be surprised how many grown children in their 30s will tell you, my mother never hugged me. My mother never smiled. My mother looked annoyed all her life. When I woke up in the morning, she was annoyed. When I came home with the problem, she was annoyed. I don't know what a hug feels like. So imagine that mother, having had a child or children, didn't create the opportunity for love and real relationship building with their child. That's mortifying. I mean, mortifying. Because what we would be afraid of is that that same child could produce the same antics, which is all she knows. He or she, by the way, he or she knows to produce the same thing that the mother gave to them. Here's what I have found, however, is that in a scenario like that, most women produce better loving circumstances in relationships when their children are born. They carry a bit of fear that they're going to be like their mother, but for the most part, they create better mothering. Thank God. That's what I've discovered. When it comes to men, what I have discovered is that most men are loved by their mothers, but what they really want is the love of their father. And if culturally, I can only speak culturally, without the love of their father, but have the love of their mother, don't necessarily produce better men. They go out in the world and say, I never felt this from my father, so I don't know what it's like to be a loving man, even though they had a loving mother. What the fuck is that? What is that? That becomes a choice. It becomes a choice in your adult life to be ugly consistently and then blame somebody else because you did not have an experience that could render you a better person. But it's bullshit because women will have the same experience and render the new experience of child rearing in a loving aspect. So it becomes a choice. Very few women say, I don't know how to love my children because I was never loved. Very few women say that. Case in point, Kenya Moore, just ostracized by her mother. And what a great mommy she is. Toxic is what it is. Toxic. Toxic. Disturbing, says Lanono. I agree, child. I agree. I agree with both of you. So no longer are we going to accept from our men, men of color, when they say, I mean, Jeezy just said it the same way. Jeezy's like, I didn't have a father. I didn't know. Like, shut up, Jeezy. You're not the first. You won't be the last. But you are the first to have a child today with that child. That's your first. So, what can you do with that experience with that child? And you don't have to give me no bullshit about, oh, I never knew my daddy. Oh, I never knew my daddy. You're still a daddy today. And if you can have sex to have that baby, which sex is a loving experience for the most part. I'm not talking about P. Diddy's form of sex. I'm talking about like regular, because P. Diddy just turned that shit around. Harem and cult like. We're not talking about P. Diddy's version. That that P Diddy stuff is scary, child. We're talking about normal, loving sex, and if you can have normal, loving sex, which is an act no one teaches, by the way. Am I right or wrong? You don't get to have a book on how to have sex, but it comes naturally in loving expressions. The touch of the hand, the hips, the the stomach, the puppet, the breast, the pee, the butt, right? The rubbing. No one taught you that. It comes naturally, doesn't it? I'm not saying, by the way, that everyone gives it good, child, because that ain't true either. The worst sex you can have is with a mofo that can't understand movement. I'm not a slam bam. Thank you, ma'am. You better have some foreplay and you better work the foreplay because I'm telling you, rubbing my knees is foreplay. Uh-huh. You simple things. So you better understand the art, right? What I'm saying is if you can have sex that created that baby and no one taught you that, and that experience is love. Again, I'm not talking about PD's version of love. I'm talking about normal, everyday, loving expressions of romance, right? And I'm not talking about if it's under the breeches, in a car, in a bed. It's all coming from a loving experience. Be it lust or loving, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm not talking about aggressive love. I'm talking about the normal stuff. And if you can normally have an expression of love and sex that nobody taught you, you assholes, then you can have a child and give them something that you never got either. Because it's inside of you that gives, it's your soul that gives. And when you don't give, then it's a choice, period. What? Well, I don't know. Did he cheat or did she say he cheat? I need more answers, Bree. I need more answers. Did he cheat? I know she said he cheated. You all know I'm not crazy about that child. I'm not crazy about her. Not that I like Jeezy, but I've always been a little distrustful of her. So I'm waiting. I'm sitting back and I'm waiting for something else to come through. Unless I need to do a reading on whether or not he cheated. I could see it for myself. All I got to do is a reading on it. Jenny Ma, I will tell you if your man cheated. Your husband, I'll tell you. It'll show up. Should I do a reading on that today? I might do it. All right. Never do anything in relationships out of a sense of obligation. Do whatever you do out of a sense of the glorious opportunity your relationship affords you to decide and to be who you really are. All right, guys, I'm going to stop there because I'm tired. I hope I helped. That's all I care about is that at some point in the passages that I read, something got through. You don't have to understand the whole book. You just got to understand something, a piece, a sentence. And I've done my job. I'm not worried. Your inner voice tells you what is true or false, right or wrong, good or bad, according to your own criteria. The voice is the radar that sets your direction and makes you determine if what you hear is true or not. All right, I'm over myself. Guys, if you are listening right now, like the video. If you're listening later, like the video. Check out my content. There is so much, so much, so much. These Hollywood people are keeping me busy. They're keeping all of us busy, busy. Um, yeah, keeping us busy, busy, busy. I might come back on later on. Wasn't sure what to do. Jesse Smollett. Well, now I should see if Jeezy cheated. Of course, Jeezy cheated. Of course he did. What do you think happened? But Jenny Mai needs proof. You just can't go around saying somebody cheated, child. I want to see the proof. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. You guys are amazing. Don't forget to get your oils. This is the rosemary oil. Where is it? Where's my rosemary oil? Right here. Rosemary biotin oil. Go to tracybrownlive.com to check out the rosemary biotin oil. Also, I've started tarot class, and every class is videotaped, so you can still join this week. All right. And again, I'm really surprised at the tarot class because yesterday they were like, well, they were kind. They were like, thank you for this class because I teach it in such a way where it's for your soul's growth, right? I'm not teaching tarot. You're going to learn tarot. Tarot is actually very easy, really is, especially the way I teach it. But I'm teaching you to change, develop, augment your way of soul thinking. And that's the beautiful part. And that's what they kept thanking me for. And I was like, oh, you're welcome. Thank you. But there's still time to join because every single class is videotaped. And then I send the videotape out to everyone that's in class. Um, so tarot class, call me for your own personal reading. I am open and available today. 213-458-7408. So call me and let me help take care of you. All right, guys, I love you. I'm going to be putting my candles on the website as well. Oh, he did make it to church. Good for him. I'm going to be putting my candles on. I'm going to be making some today, and these candles will be made specifically for you. So if you send me an email of your wants and wishes, I will print out the email. I will design the candle. I will place the candle out. Once I print out your wants, wishes, and desires, I will take a picture on everything that I do for your candle and then send a picture when it is over explaining um, what the candle showed me for you. So I'm going to be putting this on my website right now. All right, guys. I love you so much. I hope I'm not forgetting anything. Okay. Sorry, Tracy, I didn't have a chance to sign up for the tarot class. Tarot class. Tarot class. For the terrorist class. On yesterday, can I go ahead and purchase and watch the repeat? Absolutely. Absolutely. I had about 2 people that did that, and I just sent them the video over. Absolutely. Go ahead and sign up. All right, guys, I love you. I will be back with a reading. Just let me get some work done. And I love you. Take it easy. Bye.
Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live.